We are very sorry that we are keeping you on hold. That there is a technical issue going on right here. So while Geshe comes, we will start doing the prayer recitation. So I would like to request David Lai to do the presentation sharing, and we'll start doing the prayer recitation. Preliminary prayers.
Would you like to share the screen, or would you rather me share the screen?
I think you can share because I'll do the recitation. Would that be okay?
No problem, no problem.
Thank you.
Hello, good morning everyone. I'm Stanzil Nadal. Can you, Tomala? Mute. Okay, good morning everyone. Once again, welcome to today's session organized by Dharma Friends of Israel on the wisdom chapter of Guide to Bodhisattva's Way of Life. And to start with, till Geshe arrives, we will recite the preliminary prayers. So I welcome you all to visualize 3 points important to set a proper motivation: refuge field, bodhicitta field, and the purpose of practice. And for the refuge field, visualize Buddha Shakyamuni in front of you, His Holiness the Dalai Lama, and all the Buddhas and Bodhisattvas. And they're looking upon you with immense kindness and unconditional love, just as a mother looks upon her only child. Bodhicitta field, visualize your 2 kind parents seated on either side of you, mother on the left and father on the right, and you're accompanied by all dear mother sentient beings, living none aside, and you are leading them in this practice. The purpose of the practice is to manifest the Buddha nature within each one of us, that is ultimate source of happiness, by removing the 2 mental obscurations, afflictive and cognitive obscurations. Okay, by keeping this in mind, we'll recite the prayers from page number 3. David, are you doing the screen sharing? Okay, thank you. Enthused by great compassion, you taught the Immaculate Dharma to dispel all perverted views. To you, the Buddha Gautama, I pay homage. Enthused by great compassion, you taught the Immaculate Dharma to dispel all perverted views. To you, the Buddha Gautama, I pay homage. Enthused by great compassion, you taught the Immaculate Dharma to dispel all perverted views. To you, the Buddha Gautama, I pay homage. Taking refuge and generating bodhicitta. Sangye chodang soki chonam la chanchu pardu dani kyapsu che dagi chinso ki pe chonam ki dola penche sangye jupar sho. Sangye chodang soki chonam la chanchu pardu dani kyapsu che dagi chinso ki pe chonam ki dola penche sangye jupar sho. Sangye choda tsoki chonam la chanchu pardu dani kyapsu che dagi jinso ki pe chonam ki dola penche sangye jo sang the Dharma and the Sangha by my accumulations of the practice of giving and so forth, may I become a Buddha and benefit all. I go for refuge until I'm enlightened to the Buddha, the Dharma, and the Sangha by my accumulations of the practice of giving and so forth. May I become a Buddha to benefit all sentient beings. Independent origination, there is no ceasing, nor rising, no annihilation, no permanence, no coming, no going, no separateness, and no sameness. I prostrate to the consummate Buddha. I prostrate to the consummate Buddha. The supreme among all teachers, the one who taught this peace, which is free of elaborations. I prostrate to the mothers of the hearers, the Bodhisattvas and the Buddhas, who through the knowledge of all lead hearers seeking pacification to complete peace, who through the knowledge of paths cause those helping migrators to achieve the aims of the world, and who through the possession of omniscience help subduers expound a variety of teachings. The one who has transformed into the reliable guide, motivated by altruism to benefit sentient beings, the teacher, Sugata, and protector, to you I make prostrations. The one who has eliminated the web of conceptualizations and has endowed with the divine bodies of the vast and the profound, who eternally shines forth the forever noble light rays, to you, the Buddha, I make prostrations. Inspired by wisdom and compassion, today in the Buddha's presence, I generate the mind of full awakening for the benefit of all sentient beings. The essence of dependent origination mantra will recite it for 3 times with a melody, and those who are joining it for the first time, you can listen to me and we'll recite it all together. Om ye dharma hetum prabhava hetum tesham tatha gato yavadat tesham chayo nirodha evam vadi mahashamanaye swaha. Om ye dharma hetu prabhava hetum tesham tatha gato hyavatat tesham chayo nirodha evam vadi mahashamanaye swaha. Om ye dharma hetu prabhava hetum tesham tatha gato yavadat tesham chayo nirodha evam vadi mahashamanaye swaha. Meaning of the Tenri Nyingpo mantra: all phenomena arise from causes. The causes are taught by the Tathagata. The cessation of the causes as well is taught by the greats here. Profound, peaceful, elaboration-free, clear light and non-composite, such is the nectar like dharma I have discovered. Finding no one who can fathom this teaching, in silence I'll retire into the woods. Beyond utterance, thought, and expression is the perfection of wisdom, which is unborn, unceased, and has the nature of space. It is the object of apprehension of self-realized wisdom. To you, the mother of the Buddhas of the 3 times, I pay obeisance. 4 seals of the Buddha's teachings. All composite things are impermanent. All contaminated things are of the nature of suffering. All phenomena are of the nature of emptiness and selflessness. Transcending sorrow is peace. The Guru is the Buddha, the Guru is the Dharma, likewise the Guru is the Sangha. The Guru is the source of everything wholesome. I go for refuge in the Guru. By the sound of the vibrant drum of Dharma, you liberate all beings of miseries. I beseech you to kindly remain and give teachings until the end of the expanse of billions of eons. The Buddha does not wash the negativities of beings, nor does he remove their miseries by his hands. His spiritual realizations are not transferred to them. It is by teaching the truth of suchness that beings are liberated. With folded hands, I beseech the Buddhas of all directions to shine the light of Dharma for all bewildered in misery's gloom. Instructions on parting from the 4 attachments. If you are attached to this life, you are not a spiritual practitioner. If you are attached to samsara, you have no renunciation. If you are attached to your own self-interest, you have no bodhicitta. If there is grasping, you do not have the view. Now we will recite the Heart Sutra mantra. David, it would be on page number 30. Yes, thank you so much. The mantra of perfection of wisdom. We'll recite it for 7 times together. Tayatha Om Gate Gate Paragate Parasam Gate Bodhi Swaha Tyatha Om Gate Gate Paragate Parasam Gate Bodhi Swaha Tyatha Om Gate Gate Paragate Parasam Gate Bodhi Swaha Tyatha Om Gate Gate Paragate Parasam Gate Bodhi Swaha Tyatha Om Gate Gate Paragate Parasam Gate Bodhi Swaha Tyatha Om Gate Gate Paragate Parasam Gate Bodhi Swaha. Thank you, Devita.
Thank you so much.
Okay. Can you hear me?
Yes, Geshe, welcome.
Okay. Tashi Delek, welcome you all. And first of all, let me thank Shahala for organizing this, number one, and also that that for his taking the responsibility to let the people be connected with Dharma, and not only be connected, but also go into the technicalities. So that is extremely important, and there is all out of his sheer love and care for the Dharma, for the sentient beings. That is so precious. Likewise, I also like to thank all the concerned, the members of Dhamma Friends of Israel, helping Shahala, and of course the former director, Liorella, and her team for taking the responsibility, taking the people who are interested in Dharma to cruise this ocean samsara to the state of Buddhahood for the benefit of sentient beings. And I very clearly remember that Gilala, who has been coordinating all along since many years, that these teachings where the teachers invited, various teachers were invited there. And then today I can see some monastics like Yakila and Venerable Tudan Chuyangla and Kamasubala, and yeah, I can see some of you. I welcome all the monastics. It is a great joy to be with all of you and all the participants. Okay, this text is going to be, that we're going to study, is going to be a little technical, but don't be afraid. No need to be scared of the technicalities. After all, we are all committed to become Buddha, and there's nothing more technical than the Buddha. And we are all making commitment to become Buddha, which means that we are daring to face the challenges, face the technicalities, and solve the technicalities, and enjoy the sophistications of this text. Okay, and meanwhile, we have about 10 sessions, and of the 10 sessions, one session is going to be a little shorter tomorrow. And so what is expected is that the participants, whatever we study in the first sessions, earlier sessions, we make sure that we take the flow, we carry forth the flow of this, not to, because there's a gap of about 5 days for the next session to begin or next session to happen. There's a tendency that people can become more lax, and then whatever you have learned earlier, they go into the form of imprints, and then not getting activated. But the activation is expected. In other words, that for the next class, what are we going to do in the next class? For that, what are we doing now? That the active understanding of this is required. Okay, with this in mind, what I would suggest is that we will do this, the three verses to take the aspiration Bodhisattva vow. You already did it, but we're going to do it again. Do it again to make sure that what we're doing here, this is of immense benefit, not just intellectual, the enrichment, the three verses. I'll go for refuge. Okay. The David Law, whoever is doing the screen sharing, would you mind if the
Yes,
page
yes.
code? Page 7. Page 7. On page 7.
Sorry,
Okay.
it's the wrong document.
No.
Yeah.
Okay. After this. After this, it should be okay. I will tell you where it is. Okay, it is on page 50. Okay, thank you. Okay, all of us, to make sure that whatever little that we do, it is like, so depending on how you set the motivation, that decides how meaningful, how beneficial, how fruitful it is going to be of the efforts that you put in. So the three verses that I'm going to say, they just let us reinforce. Okay, now to do a little bit of setting up the motivation, let us, as indicated by Tenzin Hajunla, let us reinforce the visualization of all the Buddhas, Bodhisattvas in a space in front of you, so loving, caring, and embracing. And also let us reinforce the visualization of your two parents and all your family members around you and all dear mother sentient beings living on the side, particularly people who died due to this COVID. So many people died due to this COVID. At one point it was like 1 million, and now it must be like minimum 2 or 3 millions. So all the people who died with COVID and all those who died otherwise as well, and all who are hospitalized in the ICU and in the respective places, they're struggling. That is just visualize all of them. And just invoke the spirit, this compassion, this love and affection towards all the beings that when you are sick, when you are in desperate situation, somebody comes to give you love and care, just to listen to your grievances, how healing is it. It is exactly what happens to others. Just let this healing take place in others. Just imagine that you're listening to them. You're looking at the eyes with so much of love and care. Okay, with this in mind, let us make a commitment. Let us make a commitment. May I become Buddha for the benefit of all sentient beings. By studying this text of the great Bodhisattva, Bodhisattva Shantideva, guided Bodhisattva life, chapter 9. May I become Buddha for the benefit of sentient beings. Just let us invoke the spirit for a while. Okay, with this in mind, I'll say the line of, let's say, a bodhicitta commitment, and let us all say this 3 times together. Even though it may sound superficial, it doesn't matter. This is how we have to grow. We start from being superficial and then eventually it becomes real. So with this mind, I'll say the line of this Bodhisattva, and we'll all say these 3 times together. May I become Buddha for the benefit of all my dear mother sentient beings. May I become Buddha for the benefit of all my dear mother sentient beings. May I become Buddha for the benefit of all my dear mother sentient beings. May I become Buddha for the benefit of all my dear mother sentient beings. Okay, with this mind, let us recite these 3 verses together. I go for refuge to the triple gem. I confess the negativities individually. I rejoice in the virtues of all the beings. I hold the precious Buddhahood in my heart. I go for refuge to the triple gem. I confess the negativities individually. I rejoice in the virtues of all the beings. I hold the precious Buddhahood in my heart. I go for refuge to the triple gem. I confess the negativities individually. I rejoice in the virtues of all the beings. I hold the precious Buddhahood in my heart. Gurus, Buddhas, and Bodhisattvas, please pay heed to me. Just as previous Buddhas have generated the mind of bodhicitta, and just as they successively dwell in the Bodhisattva practices, likewise for the benefit of all sentient beings, I will generate the mind of bodhicitta, and likewise shall I too successfully follow the Bodhisattva practices. Gurus, Buddhas, and Bodhisattvas, please pay heed to me. Just as previous Buddhas have generated the mind of bodhicitta, and just as they successfully dwell in the Bodhisattva practices, likewise for the benefit of all sentient beings, I will generate the mind of bodhicitta, and likewise shall I too successfully follow the Bodhisattva practices. Gurus, Buddhas, and Bodhisattvas, please pay heed to me. Just as the previous Buddhas have generated the mind of bodhicitta, and just as they successfully dwell in the Bodhisattva practices, likewise for the benefit of all sentient beings, I will generate the mind of bodhicitta, and likewise shall I too successfully follow the Bodhisattva practices. Okay. What we have done is that we have all committed ourselves to become Buddha for the benefit of all sentient beings. And when we say this, we need to be aware that it is for the benefit. Number 1, how we begin is by seeing day 1 we are born. Day 1 we are born, we all cried, and nobody cried saying that the other baby wants milk, the other baby is hungry or feeling cold, so forth. It's simply that I am feeling cold, I am hungry. This is how we cried. Day 1 we are born. This is the nature, be it your true nature, be it your superficial nature, this is how we're born with. So with this mind, deep inside, this gesture of crying is symbolic of what your deep aspiration is. We cry that I'm feeling cold, I don't want this, which means that what we now, we crave to get away from the fears of COVID. We want to get away from the COVID. We want to get away from all the problems. This is one. Then say day 1, say your mother just holds you in her arms. Instantly the baby stops crying, which means that the baby, you, not the baby outside there, each one of us, we have been born in such a way that we crave for somebody's love. We crave for nurture, not for destruction. We crave to be taken care of. We crave for happiness. So this happiness is symbolic of our wishing for infinite happiness. So from this, that's just the day 1 we are born. From there we can see what our aspirations are. And these aspirations, these aspirations are not confined to the Buddhist. Only when you are Buddhist, this is your aspiration. For non-Buddhists, it's a different aspiration. No. Whether you are Buddhist or non-Buddhist, whether you are male or female, whether you're educated or non-educated, whether you are Israelis or non-Israelis, we all have this same aspiration. If I ask you, who is that person who craves to get rid of all the miseries, the boys or the girls? You will say both. And Israelis, non-Israelis, both. Buddhists and non-Buddhists, both. This is reality. And who craves for the maximum happiness? Buddhists and non-Buddhists, both. Girls, boys, both. Educated, uneducated, both. Israelis, non-Israelis, both. This is fact. So from this, we get a very good picture that what we are seeking is two things. We seek to get rid of miseries. One, we seek to embrace happiness. Two, this is a common goal, common aspiration of everyone. No, forget about human beings, even the tiny insects. This is reality. So with this in mind, the next question is, can we achieve that? Or probably the first question would be that what degree of miseries you want to get it off, and what degree of happiness that you are seeking. This is the next question. So what degree of miseries you want to get it off? If I ask you, okay, COVID, you will have the 100% COVID-free zone, or you want to have 50% COVID-free zone, you will say 100%. Everybody will say 100%. If there's a 100% COVID-free zone, I want that. 50%, no. Between 50% and 80%, better 80%. 80%, 100%, 100%. This is reality. And this says the reality across the board of the ethnicities, religions, gender, and the political, the demarcations. It's just true to everyone. Likewise, what vaccine do you want? Vaccine to make sure that you are free, you can freely go around. Vaccine of the COVID vaccine, the 50% efficacy, 80% efficacy, or 90% efficacy, or 92% efficacy, or 100% efficacy. If possible, if there is, I would go for 100% efficacy, which means that we crave for 100% happiness. This is reality for everyone. It's not confined to, say, the Buddhists or to the boys. No, it's for the boys, girls, same. Buddhist, non-Buddhist, same. Israelis, non-Israelis, same. Young, old, same. Educated, uneducated, same. This is the reality. So with this in mind, okay, now they say, first of all, we discovered our aspirations in our life. That is, we aspire to get into miseries and to embrace the happiness. The next question is, what degree of miseries I shun and what degree of happiness that embrace? The next question, that is, if possible, 100% miseries remove and 100% happiness embrace. In other words, infinite happiness should I embrace? The next question, is it possible? Here's a question. So the answer, the Buddha said, yes, it is possible. And according to Charles Darwin evolutionary theory, answer is no. Whereas the Buddha said, yes. So what made the Buddha so confident that, yes, everyone has the capacity to get rid of all the miseries and to have the maximum happiness? When you get to this level of understanding, where everyone has the capacity to have the maximum happiness and to get rid of all the suffering, it becomes like you see what is happening in your life today, this life. You see it is also like a one day program, because in the eyes of whole one life, for a small child, they see only today. They don't see the whole life. They don't plan for PhD programs and so forth. A child who is, say, the age 3, 4, 5, 6, they cannot think of the PhD program and so forth. They only think of the chocolates. They only think of the games, the chocolates, and the playground. That's it, only for today. Whereas as you grow older, then you can see your, school, college, university, PhD program, and professorship, and so forth. So you see the bigger picture in the bigger frame of time. So the point is that, we are all like small children who only wants the PlayStation and the chocolates. We only want that. We are like small children. Whereas those people who can say that everyone has the capacity from infinite happiness and to make the misery zero. So these people are like the grown-up people who are known as the revered, as the noble beings, who can see the time frame like millions, billions of lifetimes. From that point of view, what we are going through is just, say, a tiny temporal segment of the reality. So it is like, say you change your clothes and then the next day you do something else, and then you like being in a drama. So we see how you see time. It depends on how mature you are. So those people who are not mature, they really fight on the bus. Sit on the bus. It's a 5 minutes drive, 5 minutes riding, 5 minutes ride, 5 minutes ride, and then, oh, this is my seat, this is my seat. They fight. It's just 5 minutes. What is 5 minutes? Why should I have to fight for 5 minutes sitting, right? For 5 minutes stand up is fine. What's wrong with it? What's the problem? But people fight, literally fight. And then they carry this for the next 2, 3, 4 days. Carry this. Oh, this person was so nasty. He fought me. He took my seat. What seat? Is 5 minutes? Not your seat. After 5 minutes, it's not a seat. So this is how we are all like small children. Small children. So the point is that we need to learn. So this study of the Guide to the Bodhisattva's Way of Life, this is to teach us how to grow, how to be more matured in our thinking, how to see things from a broader perspective, broader in time and in space. This is what we are learning from this text. So the question that we are confronted with is whether or not each one of us, we can get into all the miseries and to have the infinite happiness. Okay, this is the question that we are left with. So with this, the Buddha said yes. Charles Evans said no. And I don't want to elaborate too much on the distinction between these two, the great teachers, the Buddha Shakyamuni and Charles Evans. I don't want to go into too detail, but this is difference, the answer that gave. And what made the Buddha so confident to say something which is revolutionary? In the past, at the time of the Buddha, the same everywhere in the world, there is what is known as the male chauvinism, thinking that males are intrinsically better. And the Buddha said, no, that's not true. Everyone, there's the same potential. Nothing that the males are superior and the females are inferior. No, that's not true. And why the Buddha is doing that? Is it because that he wants to simply, make the females happier? No, not for this reason. There is that he could really see something, and in fact, he was doing that at the cost of his own life. There were so many traditions, those existing traditions, who were totally against what the Buddha was preaching. The Buddha was preaching the equality of the gender. This was what the Buddha was encouraging. And in those days, male chauvinism, the whole system was designed on the belief that the male is superior. So therefore, the Buddha became a revolutionary. It is not like today the Buddha, you put the Buddha statue anywhere as a decoration, as the symbol of peace. No, in those days, very challenging. The Buddha was confronted with so many teachers who were totally against this principle of the equality of gender, equality of race, equality of the principle of equality. So what made the Buddha so confident to really stand for everyone, equality for everyone? What made him so confident? This is the question. So but this takes us to the understanding. I don't want to go into detail. This takes us to the understanding that Buddha discovered what is known as the seat of perfection existing within everyone. Seat of perfection. What is meant by seat of perfection? A seat of perfection where if it is blossomed, it blossoms in a state where the person will be freed of all the fears of life and the person will have the infinite happiness. This is the meaning of the seat of perfection. A seat when blossomed fully, will blossom in a state where the person will be free from all the miseries and will have the infinite happiness. Okay. Is it really there? Is it really there within us, within me? Is it there? Answer is yes. Say, just imagine a gold mixed with the soil. A gold mixed with the soil. The very nature of the gold is to glow. But when it's mixed with the soil, you don't see it's glowing. And the ordinary people like us, most likely what we'll do is we will just throw this. And gold experts will not throw this. Gold experts will tell you, don't throw this, there's gold here. No, how do you know there's gold there? So what he does, or what she does, is she'll remove the dirt. Remove the dirt. As he or she removes the dirt, gradually, then something inside start to glow. Now, the moment you say the glow, then you gain conviction, oh, there's something there. And then the dirt is removed more and more, then the glow is more and more. And then when the dirt is fully removed, it glows perfectly well. So this is your Buddha nature. That is present within everyone, whether you're Buddhist or not, it doesn't matter. As long as you have a mind, you have this seed of perfection known as the Buddha nature. Why Buddha? Buddha, is it not a Buddhist? No, it's not a Buddha. It's not about Buddhism. Buddha simply means the fully awakened one. The fully awakened one. The seed where one can be fully awakened at a certain time when you meet with the conducive factors. This is the meaning of the Buddha nature. Everyone has the Buddha nature, irrespective of what religion that you're following, what gender that you belong to. You have this seed of perfection known as the Buddha nature. Okay, so which means I also have this Buddha nature. Yes, yes, you are as important as the Bodhisattva Muni. And if this seed inside the Buddha nature, if it is awakened, you will be as loved by millions of people the way His Holiness is loved. His Holiness the Dalai Lama is loved by everyone. You also have that same capacity. Okay, that's a good news to start this text with. It's a good thing. And it's very uplifting to hear that we all have this Buddha nature. It's amazing. Okay. If it is there, the next thing is that why did it not manifest? Why it always remained obscured? Meaning, why that is always mixed with the soil since time immemorial till now? Why always are they mixed with the soil, mixed with the mental dirt? Why? Why this question? Okay, so the answer is that one, yes. So this gold, like the seed of perfection within us, that is mixed with the dirt of the mental defilements. And this mental defilement is of two kinds, the gross and the subtle. It is like, let's say I don't take any garlic and somebody smashed garlic in my mug. Then who smashed garlic in my mug? I don't eat any garlic. And you owned up, you said, I'm very sorry, Dorji. And then you clean this up, wash it so well, you remove all the solid garlic. Okay, now the garlic gone. And you wash it so well under the tap, the flowing water. There's no garlic there. And then you smell it. It still smells garlic. So one is a solid garlic and the other is the smell of the garlic. Likewise, the mental stain, mental defilements, it is of two kinds. One, which is like the solid garlic-like metal defilements, and the other, removing all the solid garlic-like metal defilements, then the subtle stain will be left. Okay, so there are two. Now, technically, to put it technically, so the solid garlic-like mental defilement, and that is known as the afflictive obscurations. And these backgrounds we must have to study this text. Okay, The solid garlic like mental defilements, which obscure these goals like Buddha nature within us, that is known as afflictive obscurations. And the subtle stains like the smell of the garlic like mental defilements, subtle defilements. These are known as the cognitive obscurations too. So one, afflictive obscurations, gross one, and the subtle one referred to as the cognitive obscurations. So what makes us to classify these mental defilements into these two? One, why we classify them into two? The gross and subtle. Why? Because we have two goals. We have two goals: to get rid of all the miseries and to embrace the maximum happiness. We have two goals. Given that there are two goals, and we have the potential, but we don't achieve these two goals yet, because there's one set of mental defilements which obscure us from achieving this goal of freedom from fears of life, freedom from miseries. Then there's another set of the defilements which stop us from achieving, embracing the infinite happiness. So this, to put it technically, that we seek to get rid of all the fears of life, to get rid of all fears, the state of the freedom from all fears. This is technically referred to as nirvana, liberation from samsara. Let me repeat it. A state where you are freed from all the fears of life, that is known as nirvana in a technical sense. And the other state, a state where your mind embraces infinite happiness, that state is known as Buddhahood. So if I ask somebody, say anybody who has no clue about Buddhism and who believes in some other religion, if you ask them, do we aspire to achieve nirvana and Buddhahood? They will say, no, it has nothing to do with us. We don't go for nirvana and Buddhahood. Do you aspire to achieve the fearlessness? Do you want fearlessness? They will say yes. Do you want to have, if there's a possibility, do you want to have the infinite happiness? They will say yes. That infinite happiness that you say yes is known as Buddhahood, and that fearlessness you said yes is known as nirvana. And you simply don't like the terminologies, but the concepts, you like it. So this is the universality of the aspirations of the beings. Now, what stops you from achieving this nirvana or the fearlessness? That is known as the afflictive obscurations. And what stops you from achieving the infinite happiness or the Buddhahood is known as the cognitive obscurations. Okay, now the next question is, wow, now it's very clear. Okay, I have two goals and I have two sets of mental defilements, and the removing these two, then my two goals are accomplished. But how do we remove these two? This is the question. How do we remove these two? For that matter, we need to now go to dissect what constitutes the afflictive obscurations, what constitutes the cognitive obscuration. We really need to go more closely. Going more closely, we see the first we need to work to get rid of the gross one. Until we remove the solid garlic, we can't get rid of the smell. So first, we need to get rid of the solid garlic, like the mental defilements, the afflictive obscurations. And this afflictive obscurations, we can see that it's of three kinds. It's of three kinds. Afflictive obscurations, gross garlic-like mental defilements, it consists of three kinds. Number one is the afflictions, disturbing emotions, or the referred to as the afflictions. The afflictions, broadly speaking, attachment, aversion, and ignorance. Otherwise, afflictions per se, it has millions, trillions of kinds, and all grouped to put into simple grouping. We see that there's three: attachment, the family of attachment, the family of aversion, and the family of ignorance. These three are the afflictions, and these afflictions, they drive us into actions. They make us to go for things. For example, let's say I'm diabetic, and yet I can see a Coca-Cola on my table, and then my hand cannot resist to got off it. So what made this action? My hand going out to the Coca-Cola, not the diet Coca-Cola, the normal Coca-Cola. So why my hand is reaching out there, although I'm diabetic? Why? Something is making me to move my hand there. What is that? Your thought process. That thought process which makes you to pull the object or be pulled by the object. That is known as attachment. And then say somebody said, no, this Coca-Cola is mine. And then you want to somehow remove this person. Okay, get out, which means you want to push the person. Verbally, you're trying to push the person, get out. And physically, your hand gestures like this, get out. So physically, verbally, you're expressing to push the other person out. What makes you to do that? What inside you makes? What drives you to physically and verbally push the other person? There's a thought process inside. There's a thought process inside, which is known as aversion. That makes you to physically and verbally act to push others. The thought process inside, known as attachment, that makes you physically and verbally pull things closer towards you. So these two, physical and verbal action, their actions, undesirable actions, which are responsible in creating problems on you and problems to other people. So these are the contaminated karmas, and these karmas are driven by the afflictions inside. So the afflictive obscurations, in broad sense, is consisted of two: contaminated karmas and afflictions. And I said three earlier. So three, meaning that they say when you are with His Holiness the Dalai Lama, right? For example, say at home, you shouted to mother. And suddenly, Shahala and Leorala said that, okay, we'll all go to have audience with His Holiness the Dalai Lama. And then instantly your mind just elated with joy, right? And then we all go to the audience with His Holiness the Dalai Lama. And then in front of His Holiness, Asola, you just change your being. You're like a divine person. That you don't know what is anger. You don't know what is to shout to your mother. Actually, you did it just before you came to mother. You shouted at a mother. But here, you are very different. If somebody says, this is the girl who shouted at the mother, this is the boy who shouted at the mother, right? You won't believe. No, it can't be. Look at the demeanor, look at the calmness, look at the divinity there, right? Okay, so there, what happened? That anger, that shout, has it disappeared? No, it has not disappeared. It is in the form of a seed. So we have the contaminated karmas, afflictions, and the active seeds. Active seeds. So these three constitute what is known as the afflictive obscurations. Okay, so these afflictive obscurations, they are responsible for attracting all the fears of life, And then what is that cognitive obscuration? That the smell of the garlic like mental defilements. That is the inactive seed. Seed of the contaminated karmas and afflictions. There are two. The seeds are two. One is active and one is inactive. Active seeds meaning seed which has the potential to germinate in the form of contaminated karmas and afflictions. Whereas there is another set of seeds which cannot germinate. For example, the smell of the garlic, after washing away all the solid garlic, the smell of the garlic will never be, just as only the smell will never come in the form of a solid garlic. So inactive seeds are like the burned seeds. Burned seed will never germinate into the flowers and the plants anymore. The burned seed of the poisonous tree. Burned seed of the poisonous tree will never germinate into the form of the poisonous tree ever again. So that burned seed, that is a metaphor for what is known as the cognitive obscurations. Say the burned seed like the inactive seeds of the contaminated karmas and afflictions. These are the cognitive obscurations. And of course, if we can have like the more the studies, more time together for like say the 6 months, 1 year, 2 years, so forth, then we have to explore what exactly is cognitive obscurations. What exactly is that? So how does that stop us from experiencing the infinite happiness? How does that stop us from becoming a Buddha? Okay. Now what we have learned is that, okay, so to achieve the 2 goals, we have the 2 sets of defilements inside, which block us from achieving the 2 goals. We have the 2 sets of defilements, mental defilements, afflictive obscuration and cognitive obscurations. And afflictive obscurations is of 3 kinds: contaminant karmas, afflictions, and inactive seeds. Active seeds, 3. And the same from this, what we can see is, okay, my question to you, if any likes to respond to me, set of these 3, which do you think is something we need to really work on? Anyone? Of the 3, which is the one where we need to work to get it off? Which is more urgent? Okay, Laura Gibson.
Afflictions.
Afflictions. Good. Anybody else? Anybody else? Anybody else? Okay. So I cannot really, I would not say anything as of now, but let's not forget what Laura said. Afflictions. Okay, so let's say that let's not forget what Laura said. So meanwhile, say the physical and verbal actions and the mental actions, they all manifest because there's somebody who's driving the person, the physical and verbal actions to move. There's something inside us which drive us into engaging in these 3 actions. What is that? What drives us? That is known as the afflictions. And these afflictions, as I said earlier, is of 3 classes, is of 3 types. One which pushes others away from you, and one which pulls you. In other words, the mind which involuntarily gets pulled by the object, and the mind which is involuntarily pushed by the object 2, and the one which is ignorant 3. There are 3 classes. So one which involves involuntary pull is known as attachment. The one which involves involuntary push is known as aversion, and the not knowing the reality, this is ignorance. So there are 3 classes of afflictions. Good. Now we see that okay, so what actions can we classify as, what we are seeking is, we are seeking say the total peace without any disturbance, without any fear, total peace. Okay, just raise your hands if if you agree with me that, okay, yes, whether I really understand what total peace is, but I don't want the disturbance, and if possible, I don't want any degree of disturbance, if possible. Raise hands. Very good. Okay, so basically these studies, to make sense, to make the most of these studies, we need to really be, actively involved. Okay, my thinking, does it really tally with what is said in the text? Does it really tally with what he's saying? Our mind must be very active. So if you agree with me that I don't want any disturbance, the first question, what does it mean by disturbance in the first place? Anybody? Very quick. Very quick, very quick. No one? Okay. We don't know what disturbance is. Okay, how many of you were disturbed when you come to know that your next door neighbor is COVID positive? How many of you mentally feel disturbed? That your next door neighbor is tested COVID positive. Raise hands. Yes, we all know what disturbance is. Okay, anyone? What do you mean by disturbance in general? I don't want the illustrations. I want you to give me some simple meaning. Anyone? And this is very important. If you don't understand this, or if you don't conceive of this, then yes, we don't want disturbance. When disturbance happens, you feel disturbed, you don't want it. But we have to learn how to articulate, what we are trying to get it off. Anybody? Or
fear, anger.
Okay, the Susanna. Okay, you can give me example, you can give me a meaning, whatever is fine. Susanna?
The same as Mr. Yana, he said fear.
Okay, fear is disturbance.
Worries.
Tomar?
Worries, concern.
Worry, disturbance. Okay, the Smitaji?
Any unpleasant state of mind.
Any unpleasant state of mind. Any unpleasant state of mind. Okay, good. Anybody else? Raise hands. Anybody else? Edward? Edward?
Susanna just said what I wanted to say. Thank you. Any of the...
Okay, Susanna said what you wanted to say. Anybody else? Okay, seems how we don't know what is disturbance, right? If you don't know what disturbance is, which means that they either you don't have disturbance, you don't know, you don't have disturbance. Okay. Anyone? What is disturbance? What is disturbance?
Unrestful state of mind.
Unrestful state of mind. Thank you. Unrestful state of mind. Fear, worries, and so forth. Unrestful state of mind. Okay, let's say how many you like cheesecake? Raise hands. Okay, most of you. So let's say that. Okay, today you are so actively involved in this discussion. So Shahala is going to celebrate this by bringing a cheesecake to your house. You're all smiling. Is this disturbance? Is this disturbance? You will say, no, I like it. It's not disturbance. Okay, good. Okay, so we need to know what exactly is disturbance. So like the fears, worries, these are disturbances, yes, friends? Very good. So the point is that, yes, these are one set of disturbance. Okay, let's say that sometimes you have to crack an exam, a very important exam, and you have only just about like 1 or 2 hours to prepare, and then you have to go to sit for the exam. And you told your mom, you told your husband, you told your wife that, okay, don't disturb me the next 1 hour. Okay, something of this kind, it ever happened to you or not? Raise hands if it happened to you. Something of this kind. Very good, all of us. Okay, let's say that 1 hour, please don't disturb me. And then you are just focused, you are reading the book, okay, you're marking them. And then your mom comes, right? Your mom comes and, Yakila, your favorite cheesecake. Are you happy or not happy? You said that I like cheesecake. You are getting it. Cheesecake is not disturbance. Now it is disturbance. Now it's disturbance. And you may say it, and then they said, no, mom, I told you don't disturb me. No, but just 5 minutes you have it. Yes, I like it. Then you eat it. And then after, again, another half an hour, again, the mom brings it. Again, you eat it, and then you fail in the exam. When you eat it, you enjoy it. When you fail the exam, then you become so angry. So earlier, what you saw as not disturbance, it was a disturbance. Even the joy, even the fun, the joy that we're experiencing, even that is a disturbance. From a broad perspective, we don't like it. From a short perspective, we like it. Short-term joy. This is disturbance from the point of view of a long-term perspective. Okay, now this is so important. Now that you are, actively participating in this, let me give you another example, and then we have to go to the text. Okay, these are the backgrounds that we need to have. If we don't have these backgrounds, then the text is very monologue, it's very technical, and then what is the schools? Okay, so these backgrounds must be there. Now, let me say that. Okay, we go to bed, we fall asleep, and then we start to have a dream. Each one of us, each one of you, start to have a dream. A dream is that, oh, now in this world, the COVID is already removed. No COVID now. The whole world is a COVID-free zone. Wow, is it true? Then you call Shahala. Is it true, Shahala? Yes, 100% true. How many are happy? Raise hands. Okay, now no danger of COVID ever entering the Israel. No danger, because whole world is COVID-free zone now. We are all very happy. Wow, this is incredible good news. Thank you, Shahala, number one. Thank you, Shahala, number one. Thank you. And then, but the COVID virus is still in the laboratories, right? Still in the laboratories. Before 2019, the COVID virus was there in the laboratories, in the labs. It was still there, right? Whether it was the something which came out due to no control or by lack of control, or from animals, for whatever reason, it came out later. It was there. It jumped into the human beings just 2019, 2019, 2020, that's it. Before that, the virus was there. Although we declare the whole world as COVID-free zone, but the virus is still there. And anytime the next variant can come, right? Delta variant can come. Okay, how many are aware of the Delta variant presence? Delta variant. Yes. Okay, those of us who do not know about it, it's ignorance is bliss. Right? There's a Delta variant, which is even more scary. I don't mean to scare you, but the point is that, these things can come anytime. Spain flu, 1919, Spain flu. It was a pandemic. And then for 100 years, nothing happened. And now, the last 2 years, again, the next pandemic, anytime it can happen. So in your dream, the first, you just checked with the news, but it's true. And Shahala said, yes, it's very true. So you're so happy. You're so happy. Okay, one. Then you are going to Tel Aviv. You're going to go to Tel Aviv for some shopping, for the cinema, and to to the seashore. To the seashore for swimming, and then again there's a spread of the Delta COVID. Dream is dream. This spread of Delta COVID happening, or some people are collapsing. What's happening? Delta COVID is very scary. And then imagine in the dream, you also start to have this, the fever, dizziness, you'll also fall. Oh, now I'm dead. Number two. Then number three, when you said, I'm dead, then your mother wakes you up. No, I'm not dead. I don't have COVID. I'm so happy. Okay, 3 moments. Of the 3 moments, tell me which is the one you like the most. Raise hands very quick. Okay, let me remind you the first moment. The first moment, all happening in the dream. The first, in the dream, there's some fear is lingering in your mind. Anytime I can be tested COVID positive. And then you read the news, it says that the whole world is declared as COVID-free zone. You check it with Shahala. Shahala's here, that's very true. You're so happy. You're overjoyed. Then the next moment, you see that you're going to the beach, you're going to the restaurant, and people are collapsing. This was happening in Wuhan initially. So people collapsing. What is this? Oh, the delta of the COVID. And then you also start to feel dizzy in the dream, right? And then you also collapse. Oh, now I'm going to die. Number 2. Then number 3, when you say I'm going to die, your mom wakes you up. You're COVID-free, right? Okay, of the 3, which do you prefer the most? If you are given a choice, tell me which of the 3 would you like? Okay, raise hands. Yakila says number 3. Okay, how many of you say number 3? Raise hands. Okay, so we all go for number 3. Why not number 1? Number 1 is very pleasant. Number 1 is so good. Tamila, why not? Why not? Why not number 1? Number 1 is very beautiful. It's amazing. COVID-free zone. Tamila.
Because it's a dream.
Huh?
It's a dream. It's only a dream.
Okay, it's only a dream. Okay, by the way, there are 2 Tamila.
Ah, sorry.
Okay.
Sorry.
No, that's fine. It's fine. It's fine. It's fine. Okay, so it's a dream. What's the problem? It's a dream. What's the problem if it is dream? Okay. Tell me, Horowitz.
That was me.
What's the problem if it is? Huh? Okay, let us all listen to this. What's the problem if it's a dream? Tell me, Horowitz.
That it's not true.
What's the problem if it's not true? Sometimes we deliberately go for what is the placebo effect. We deliberately go for placebo effect so that you should be that you are cured. Placebo means it's not real. It's not true. Still, we go for that, right? What's the problem? Okay, tell me, Shilif.
It's a wrong mind.
Huh?
It's a wrong mind.
What's the problem with the wrong mind? Placebo is also a wrong mind. You think that you got the right medicine, the right injection. Actually, it's just clean water, that's it. What's the problem?
It's short time.
Okay, the short time. Okay, Yanai.
It's not in touch with reality, so you're
What's
just
the
in
problem?
denial.
Okay, this is what we have to learn. Whatever we say, you must gain conviction in what is saying. All, for example, the Tommy Horowitz, Tommy Shilef, and the Yanai, all what is said is correct. I agree with you, but the conviction must be there. Conviction, we must gain conviction. Only when conviction is gained, then what you do will have a force. If one doesn't get the conviction, then what you do will not have any force. So the practice becomes, very sluggish, and it will not have any force and momentum. So what's the problem? It's not true. If it doesn't tell you the reality, what's the problem? This question. Anyone? Okay, Sia or C?
Yes, it's a C. It will end in suffering.
Sorry? Yes, I can hear you. Unmute. Unmute.
I can't speak and listen at the same time, but I said it will end in suffering.
Okay, it ends up in suffering. How? Okay, this is a very important question. As long as we don't gain conviction in this, all we're going to study here will not make as much sense to you, right? It makes sense to the realized beings. But finally, this is not for the Bodhisattva Shantideva. Bodhisattva Shantideva, he already realized. There's no need of this book for him, but it should be relevant for us. For that matter, we must gain conviction of what we are saying. Okay, let's say, to make it even clearer, my question to you is, how many of you like to have the dream, a very pleasant dream, Shahala taking us to, for the audience with His Holiness the Dalai Lama? How many like that? Raise your hands. How many like to have this dream where Shahala is taking us to have audience with His Holiness the Dalai Lama? We all. Wonderful. And not only that, His Holiness said, Shahala, who are these? These are all from the DFI, people related to DFI, Dhamma Friends of Israel. Okay, we'll have a cup of tea together. How many like that idea? How many like that idea? Raise hands. Yes, that's even far better. Very good. Okay, my next question to you is, how many of you will have this dream tonight? Raise hands. Why not? It's a very pleasant dream. It's a very pleasant dream. Why not? Why you are not going to have this dream tonight? Why not? Anybody raise hands? Okay, Nirasla. Let us all listen. Unmute.
Because you don't have the freedom to choose it.
Okay. You don't have the freedom to choose it. Anybody else? Anybody else raise hands? Why you are not going to have this dream? This dream is very pleasant. Why are you not going to have this dream tonight? Why not? Anybody? Yakila?
Well, I have no control over my dreams.
Okay. Nirasla said that I don't have the freedom to choose the dream. And Yakila said that we have no control of the dreams. Okay. How many agree with Nirasla and Yakila? Raise hands. Very good. We all agree. The point is that however the pleasant the dream is, however pleasant the dream is, we don't have the freedom to choose it. How many agree with this? Raise hands. Very good. If you don't have the freedom to choose that, when it comes, you don't have the freedom. You have the loss of freedom. And loss of freedom is misery. Loss of freedom is disturbance. Loss of freedom is disturbance. So it is for this reason that when you are watching a television, particularly when you were young, like age, say the 11, 12, 13, 14, when you're watching a television with your sibling, brother or sister, you want to keep the remote control with you. How many of you wanted to keep the remote control with you when you watch television with your brother and sister? Raise hands. Why not? Why you are keeping it yourself? It's extra work. It's extra work. Let your brother do it. You let your sister do it. The work. No. If you don't have the remote control, then you don't have the freedom which channel to watch. Right? I want the freedom. I want the control. Okay. So when you don't have the control, when you don't have the freedom, this is known as a loss of freedom. Loss of freedom is misery. Loss of freedom is disturbance. You don't want it and it's happening to you. This is known as disturbance. Okay. Now the point is how to get out of the disturbance, how to get out of the loss of freedom, how to gain freedom. Okay. Of these three, the first in the dream that you heard the news. Okay, now the whole world is COVID-free zone. And second moment, you see people dying on the street, on the beach. Okay. And then you also collapse. And then third moment, your mother wakes you up. Of the three, you said that you like the third one the most. You like the third one. Because in the first, although it's a very pleasant dream, but you don't have the freedom to choose it. So there's a lack of freedom. Lack of freedom is misery. It's a disturbance. You don't want it. So although it's a pleasant dream, still there is an element of disturbance. There's an element of lack of freedom. There's an element of lack of freedom which you don't want. Okay. So Number 2, that's terrible. Number 2, we don't want it. Right? Number 2, we don't want it. Then number 3 is the best one. You wake up. Okay. So the number 1 is a very pleasant dream, but you see that there's a lack of freedom. Number 2, for sure, obvious, very grossly lack of freedom. So if you don't want to have the lack of freedom, what should you do? This next question. With the example of this dream. If you don't want to have the lack of freedom, if you want to get total freedom from these 2 things, the first 2 dreams, what should you do? Anybody raise your hand? Okay, Elishiva.
Ellie, it's okay, Ellie. Wake up.
Ellie, yes.
To wake
up. But then let's not forget it. Wake up. Wake up. If you don't want the loss of freedom in the dream, wake up. Right? Wake up. Wake up. The next question is how to wake up. How to wake up. This text will tell is the one to teach us how to wake up. Okay. Let's see. Now the text, the screen sharing. David?
Yeah, sure.
No. Okay. Now, how to wake up. This is what Ellie, this is how Ellie came up with the last question. This question takes us to this text. The need to generate the wisdom reality, ultimate reality. The sage, the Buddha, propounded all these branches of teachings. The Buddha, after becoming enlightened, when he was age 35, then he started giving teachings, and all these teachings, they are for the sake of promoting the wisdom to wake up from the sleep of ignorance, wisdom to wake up from the sleep of ignorance. Therefore, those who wish to pacify suffering of the dream, all forms of suffering, the lack of freedom, therefore, those who wish to pacify the lack of freedom should generate this wisdom to wake up from the sleep of ignorance. Okay, then the next is ascertaining the true truths. Ascertaining true truths, meaning that, but say that the same thing that you are in your small house, small bedroom, and you're falling asleep, and in this same place is the place where you have this dream, of hearing that the whole world is COVID-free zone. Is the dream where you end up yourself in the beach, seeing people collapsing, seeing yourself collapsing. Same place where you wake up. It's the same place. So the same place can be seen in 2 ways. How the person in the dream sees it, and how the waking up person sees it. Okay. How many you get some sense when I said that the same place, the same room in which you are sleeping, the same room is the place where a dreaming person is seeing the beach and hearing this good news and so forth, and then seeing the people collapsing and so forth. And then same place is the one which the woken up, a person who's woken up is seeing that you're in a tiny small place where there's no say the hearing the good news, where there's no seeing the people collapsing, yourself collapsing. Okay, how just based on those who think that it makes some sense what I'm saying now. Raise hands. Very good. Okay, so the point is, it's the same reality, Let's say, let me give you another example. This is very important, very, very important. Let's say that now Leorella Kenneth, Leorella said, okay, good. Now, the next year, be prepared to go to Mount Kailash. And all of us so excited. She would take charge of this pilgrimage to Mount Kailash. And she warns us that in Mount Kailash, because of the snow, there's a snow glare from the snow. We should protect our eyes. So you have to buy goggles to stop the glare from the snow. And the goggles, or the one is, there are two shops. One, the goggles is so refined. And another, which is so grossly made. So Group A and Group B. Group A bought the goggles from the very good quality goggles, and the other one from the other shop, simpler shop, and it's very murky goggles. And then the Liorala told us that this is a very precious sacred mountain, and we have to show respect. And it's spectacularly beautiful. Okay, we're all excited. How many of you been to Mount Kailash? Raise hands. How many of you never been there to Mount Kailash? Raise hands. Okay, most of us, including myself. Let's say that we're going there for the first time. Two groups, Group A and Group B. And Group A with the very clean the goggles, and Group B with the very murky goggles. We go there, finally we see the Mount Kailash. And Group B, and then the Liora said, okay, now let us do the prayers. Buddham, Sharanam, Gacchami. Then the Group B looks at it. What is there? Such a dirty snow mountain. Very dirty. What is that? Why should I say Buddham, Sharanam, Gacchami? There's nothing there's sacred. It's so dirty. Instead, we have to start a clean Kailash project. Right? We have to clean this up first. And the Group A, wow, it's so clean, spectacular. It's so beautiful, majestic. It's so beautiful. Buddham, Sharanam, Gacchami. Okay. So we see that these two groups, they are looking at the same object. How many agree with me, raise hands? They are looking at the same object. But one, there's an emotional upsurge of, not really like no, this is not really up to the mark. It's not really clean, as explained by Liorala. Other group says, it's so beautiful, amazing. I could see the serenity. I could feel the peace here. I could feel the sanctity here. It's very different. One sees it so clean. One sees it so dirty. But we are looking at the same object. We are looking at the same object. Okay. So the same object is seen in two different ways. So what makes the difference? Why somebody for Group A, the snow mountain is so beautiful, spectacular. Why to the Group B, the same mountain is so dirty? Why? Anybody raise hands? Very quick. Very quick. Very quick. Okay, the Ruchita.
Geshe-la, it is because of the goggles, because one group is wearing clean goggles which are high quality, but the other group is wearing goggles which are not absolutely clear. The lens is not absolutely clear.
Okay, how many agree with Ruchita ji? Raise hands. It entirely depends on the goggles, right? It has nothing to do with the snow mountain. It's entirely depends on the goggles, right? The subject, not the object. It entirely depends on the subject. When the subject is clean, you see the object clean. When the subject is dirty, murky, you see the object as the murky. You're getting it? But what the Group A is looking at, the object-wise, what the Group B is looking at is the same object. But we see two in a very different way. One as something spectacularly clean, and the other is very dirty. It's not because of the object, it's because of the subject. Okay. So now what the object is, say the universe, the world, seen through the lens of our dirty mind, dirty goggles, that is samsara. Seeing the world from the lens of a clean mind, that is nirvana. It's the same object. Same object seen through two different lenses of mind. One sees nirvana, one sees samsara. So ordinary beings, they put on the dirty goggle, because of which we see samsara. And the same, what we say samsara, for the realized beings, they cleanse it, the dirty, the lens of the mind, they cleanse it, and look at this, they see the divinity there. That is nirvana. That is Buddhahood. Okay, so the same object displays two natures. One is samsara for the ordinary beings, one is nirvana in the eyes of the realized being. Same object manifests in two forms. The same flower manifests in two forms. Two forms depending on how you look at it. When you look at it, in one way you see as a flower, conventional truth. In one way you see the emptiness of flower, you will see the ultimate reality of the flower. So two truths, depending on how you see it. Okay, I will stop here for the first session, and then we'll come back after 1 hour. Okay, Indian time, 2 o'clock, and Israel time?
11:30, Geshe-la.
11:30. Okay, we'll come back in 1 hour. Okay, see you.
Thank you very
We'll
much.
recite the Heart Sutta mantra 3 times. We'll recite the Heart Sutta mantra 3 times.
Thank you so much.
Om Gati Gati Paragati Parasam Gati Bodhiswatyata Om Gati Gati Paragati Parasam Gati Bodhiswatyata Om Gati Gati Paragati Parasam Gati Bodhiswaha. Okay, see you in 1 hour.
Thank you, Geshe-la. Thank you all. I will leave